In the hidden valleys of southern West Virginia, where the forests stretch for miles and roads fade into wilderness, there lived a family so far removed from society that almost no one knew their full story. This is not just about isolation or silence. This is about a group of people whose lives moved in a rhythm unlike anything seen in modern times. The Whittaker family did not choose fame. They did not seek attention. Yet somehow, their name became known across the world. But not for wealth, not for power, for something else. Something darker. Something most people fear to even speak aloud. Far from the towns in a forgotten county where trees rise like walls and fog hangs heavy between branches, the Whitakers remained locked away. Their home stood alone, surrounded by decaying fences and rusted vehicles. Old tires sank into the soil. Shattered windows held curtains faded from years of sun. The door creaked. No signs of technology could be seen. No telephone wires, no mailboxes. No footprints. Only silence. Inside that weathered house lived family members who shared blood but not voices. Many of them did not speak at all. Instead, they groaned or barked or pointed. Their eyes often moved in separate directions. Their faces showed expressions difficult to understand. Brothers and sisters lived in the same space, never leaving, never changing. Years passed, but everything remained the same. The clock ticked, but their lives stood still. Lorene Whittaker, one of the older women, sat near the window each morning. She watched the trees. She did not speak. She never smiled. Yet she remained the most aware. Her eyes followed movement, even when others stared. Blankly, her clothes stayed clean. Her hands rested calmly in her lap. But behind her stillness, something deep waited. Something unspoken. Beside her lived Betty. Betty made high-pitched sounds instead of words. She walked in circles when upset. She rocked back and forth when nervous. She touched the same objects again and again. She never asked for help. She never looked away from the floor. Betty's mind moved differently. Not broken, not empty. Just different. Then came Ray. Ray did not smile. Ray did not laugh. Ray barked when confused. Ray jumped at small sounds. He avoided mirrors. He disliked shoes. His movements were quick, sudden, like a wild animal startled by thunder. He stared at the walls. For hours, he slept on the floor. Ray did not know the names of the days. He did not know what year it was. But he knew his family. He knew who shared his blood. The Whittaker family did not arrive in this condition by accident. Their roots go back generations. Back to a time when West Virginia's mountains held entire families that rarely traveled, rarely mixed, rarely changed. Within those woods, bloodlines folded inward. Cousins married cousins. Uncles raised children who would later marry their own cousins. Fathers remained silent about sons marrying nieces. Nobody spoke about it. Nobody stopped it. Over time, the same last names appeared on every record, every tombstone. The family tree no longer spread outward. It bent in a circle. Locals whispered about them. Children dared each other to walk near their property. Teenagers told stories under the moonlight. They called them monsters, shadows, ghosts. But none of those words told the truth. The truth was worse. The Whitakers were not evil. They were not cruel. They were victims of time, victims of silence, victims of choices made long ago. One man did try to understand. A man with a camera. A man who had heard the rumors and wanted the truth. He walked through fields, stepped over fences, and approached their home with care. He did not shout. He did not laugh. He came with respect. The family did not attack him. They did not hide. They welcomed him with silence. They allowed him to see their world, not through interviews, not through words, but through quiet moments, through gestures, through presence. He captured them as they were. No costumes, no makeup, no lights, just truth. He saw the way Betty touched her shoes, the way Lorene watched the trees, the way Ray walked in wide circles. He filmed the sound of wind hitting old windows, the crunch of leaves underfoot, the distant bark of a dog. He filmed not to shock, not to shame, but to remember. Viewers across the world watched. Some cried, some stared, some turned away, but most kept watching, because something about the Whitakers pulled at the human heart. People saw pain, yes, but they also saw connection. They saw loyalty. They saw a family that refused to abandon each other, a family that survived without help, without guidance, without pity. But questions followed. Why were they never helped? Why did no one bring them food? Why did doctors not intervene? Why did neighbors ignore them? The answers remained. Buried under years of silence, the area held few resources. The roads were narrow. The hospitals stood far. And above all, fear held people back. Not fear of violence, but fear of difference. The Whitakers continued without complaint. They raised goats. They grew vegetables. They repaired their roof with plastic sheets. They used wood from fallen trees. They drank from a nearby stream. They wore the same clothes each season. They remembered birthdays without calendars. They lived without clock's dot, yet deep within their story hides tragedy. One brother disappeared. Nobody knows where he went. One sister passed away during a winter storm. Her body was never found. Another cousin left and never returned. Some said he escaped. Others believed he wandered into the forest and never came back. Each disappearance left behind silence. Number. Funeral. No grave. No goodbye. Still, the family endured. They survived without electricity. They shared warmth through blankets, not heaters. They never asked strangers for help. They never begged. They lived through harsh winters, dry summers, and storms that crushed trees. And through it all, they stayed together. No matter how difficult, no matter how strange, they never let each other go. Outside their home, rumors continued. Stories grew wilder. People added details never seen. Some claimed the Whitakers practiced witchcraft. Others believed they were cursed. None of it was true. But lies travel faster than truth. Myths spread like fire in dry grass. And soon the family became legend. But legends forget pain. Legends erase faces. The real Whitakers are not myths. They are humans, with fears, with memories, with sadness. They laugh sometimes. They cry often. They feel loneliness like everyone else. They may seem different, but their hearts beat the same. Today, few visit their home. The road remains broken. The house still leans to one side. A dog barks each morning. Chickens run through the yard. The trees have not moved. The sky still turns gray. But the family still lives there. Older now, slower, quieter, but still together. The man with the camera returns sometimes. He brings food. He speaks softly. He checks on Betty. He waves to Ray. He listens to Lorene's silence. He brings the world news of a family most had forgotten. And through him, the world remembers that not every story must end with fame or fortune. Some stories end with survival. The Whittaker family will never leave those mountains. They will never walk city streets. They will never ride elevators or visit shopping malls. Their world is smaller. But within that world exists a bond most people will never understand. A bond built from blood, shaped by time, and held together through silence. The world may forget their names. The world may change its stories. But in a small corner of West Virginia, one family continues to survive without shame, without help, without fear. This is not a horror tale. This is not a ghost story. This is a mirror held up to society. A reminder of what happens when people are left behind. A warning about silence. A lesson in loyalty. And above all, a truth many refuse to accept. Different does not mean less. The Whitakers live on, not as monsters, not as mysteries, but as reminders